Yo, hey, what's up, guys? How's everyone doing? I've been meaning to do this video for a week now. This is when Mark Carney, he responds to when Donald Trump raised the tariffs like 1 or 2 weeks ago. Anyway, he raised the tariffs like 1 or 2 weeks ago at up 25% on aluminum and steel. And this is what Mark Carney had to say about this. And right after this video, I'm going to play another video that was made yesterday, I believe by CBC News, saying that there has been progress with the tariffs. So let's check this out and see what's going on.
Latest tariffs on steel and aluminum are unjustified. They're illegal. They're bad for American workers, bad for American industry, and of course for Canadian industry as well. We have counter tariffs in a gross amount before remissions on over 90 billion of U.S. imports. We've acted strong. Those are in place. We will take some time, not much, some time, because we are in intensive discussions right now with the Americans on the trading relationship. Those discussions are progressing. I would note that the American action is a global action. It's not one targeted at Canada. So we will take some time, but not more, before we respond. Latest tariff.
Yeah, that's crazy. It did seem like things were going forward. When he went to the White House and had that meeting, it seemed like things were getting, they were having talks, and things seemed like things were gonna move in a better direction. And then Trump just came out of nowhere with these tariffs. But there's another video that says that things look like things are getting better.
Breaking news to bring you out of Washington this hour. It appears there is movement in the trade negotiations between Canada and the U.S. The CBC's Katie Simpson joins us now live from D.C. Katie, what have you heard?
And it appears there is some progress, but I'm going to give a big caution as we get to a point here, though. Those talks between Canada and the U.S., they have now gotten to a point that a document outlining a potential agreement has been shared back and forth by officials in Ottawa and Washington. That is according to 3 sources with direct knowledge of the information who've spoken with either me or with my colleagues at Radio Canada. Now, sources are making it extremely clear a deal is not imminent and there's more work that needs to be done, and that they're not expecting an agreement before the G7 summit next week. But we have learned a little bit about what's in this document. According to one source, it includes a commitment from Canada to participate in the Golden Dome missile defense strategy. That is a controversial proposal from U.S. President Donald Trump that could end up costing hundreds of billions of dollars and take years to develop. It also highlights Canada's recent commitment to it meeting its NATO defense spending targets, Canada's plan to make further security investments in the Arctic, and the previously announced measures to highlight border security. Now, Canada is pushing for tariff relief from the Americans, but what the Trump administration is willing to commit to at this point, that remains unclear. There are a wide range of tariffs imposed on Canadian goods, though there are also carve-outs and some exceptions in some cases. The biggest challenge right now is those higher tariffs just imposed on steel and aluminum. Most U.S. trading partners are now facing a 50% tariff, and that is not something that Trump appears to be backing away from anytime soon. Now, Canadian and U.S. officials have been in contact weekly ever since Prime Minister Mark Carney's visit to the White House. I'm told the talks are slowly making progress. One source said to me, this week was better than
handshaking that snake. Donald Trump's a snake because, stuff goes good and he reacts on emotion, and this is just crazy.
Than the week before. But again, the source is emphasizing these are not traditional trade talks. This is about reaching a broad agreement related to trade and security rather than detailed, technical, specific trade negotiations.
And it seems like what's going on is that America is asking Canada to step it up and, agree to their terms. Well, they did agree with to bring their spending in NATO up to 2%, and also help finance, I guess, the Golden Dome, or whatever this is. So Donald Trump is asking more of Canada, and that seems to be the negotiation here. If they do that, he's going to relieve them of the tariffs. Maybe. We don't know. Just like she said, we don't know. But we got to make sure we're getting this news without any bias. And a great way to do that is by checking out Ground News. Trump's new tariffs are everywhere in the headline. But are you seeing the full story or just one side of it? Big media platforms often choose which version of the truth you get. Whether you lean left or right, you're probably not getting the full picture. And that's where Ground News comes in. Ground News is an app and website that shows you how news is being reported across the political spectrum. It breaks down media bias, corporate ownership, and factuality. In recent news, Trump just raised tariff prices on aluminum and steel 25%. This will most likely impact the Canadian and U.S. economy. The thing I like about Ground News is that they are not biased. You can see articles reported by the left or the right. This is critical because without Ground News, we can't choose which news we consume. Ground News is needed to get the full story. Right now, you can get 40% off of their Advantage plan for unlimited access. No corporate spend, just transparency, supported by subscribers. To subscribe, go to ground.news/notats or scan this QR code and take control of the information you consume.
And so, Katie, where do things now go from here? A lot of detail there.
Yeah, so the big thing is to watch is the G7 summit coming up next week in Alberta. Everyone who's there is going to want a piece of the Americans because everyone's dealing with this sort of nightmare scenario where they're trying to either get out of trade or get out of tariffs, find some way to reach an agreement with the United States so that trade can continue and economic relationships can continue as they have in the past. The Americans have made it very clear they want to reset the trade agenda. They want terms that are favorable to American workers and American businesses. And this is something that Donald Trump campaigned on and is working very hard to try to implement. So the big thing is, will Canadians be able to sort of keep these talks moving in a right direction? Will they be able to make some progress on this? And the big thing to look for next, obviously, is going to be getting something in paper. There can be agreements. People can say, you know, a deal has been reached. But again, it all comes down to what are people going to actually get on paper from the Trump administration, because that's when you know the specifics and what has been confirmed and committed to.
Katie, thank you for all these breaking details. That is the CBC's Katie Simpson reporting for us from Washington.
Thanks, Katie. We needed that info. But just I hope that this time, if things are moving forward, that Donald Trump don't throw a wrench into the street and we have to go back 10 steps. We go forward 5 steps and go back 10 steps. Hopefully that's not this time here. Hopefully things get better. You know me, I'm rooting for the Canadian-American relationship to repair itself and get better. And hopefully we can do that together, guys. Hey, see you in the next video.